Hello everyone, and welcome to another Company Heroes 2 replay cast. My name is ATR, and today we're gonna have ourselves a 1v1 on Minsk Pocket. Our heroes today are going to be Mr. Field Marshal, playing as the Austere or Wehrmacht faction in the yellow. And his opponent is going to be Sergio Niko, playing as the Soviet faction in the pink or purple trunks, depending your preference. So thanks for Marshal for sending this in. Hope it's a good game. So let's take a look and see what's going on. We have Mr. Niko going for conscripts like you would expect, and I can only assume he's going to be going for more conscripts, right? For Field Marshal, he went and built his tier 1 to begin with. Nothing out of the ordinary. Getting himself an MG because you can, and a Gren because, of course. And he's probably going to get a second Gren after that. And there you go. Not much else left to say. The game will get underway. Now, in the meantime, I guess I'll talk a little bit. Just saying that, you know, I read over the... I haven't actually tried it myself, but I like the changes on the... with the balance preview mod, and man, that's looking pretty good. Hopefully it's all done correctly and such, but I'm really excited about the fact of having troops like the Grens and stuff coming out of their buildings. Oh man, I actually missed that from the very beginning. And yeah, I mean, all in all, it looks pretty cool. We'll see how it develops, and ultimately, hopefully it makes the game a lot better. But yeah. Good times. Also, the Dawn of War 3 trailer came out and such. I mean, also with an article on PC Gamer and such. What do you guys think about it? Are you excited? Are you not excited? I, for one, am. I mean, it's, you know, might not be exactly what I would envision, I suppose, but ultimately won't know until we try it and play it, right? And hopefully it's pretty good. And, I mean... Dawn of War 2, pretty different to the original Dawn of War, and it was made better because of that, so hopefully this, you know, ends up being a better game. I don't know. Hopefully we'll see something cool, but obviously we gotta wait. But it's nice to know that at least something is coming, and at least for the meantime, I mean, I plan, if possible, on covering Dawn of War when it comes out, so there you go. Anyway, so if I have the first engagement here as a conscript squad runs itself into the arc of fire of an MG42. MG42, though, is forced to pack up and move out of the way. Probably going to be having to retreat, as it does have another conscript squad right on top of it. Manages to move itself out of the way as the other conscript is left on the floor crawling. Ground squad in the way, trying to prevent the kill of the MG. MG trying to set up, but once again gets flanked here by this conscript squad. Conscript squad, though, is taking a beating, and with two ground squads on top of it, it is going to be forced to retreat. May even die here, although with the combat engineer squad getting in the way, these squads are going to be a little bit distracted and not going to be focusing fire. MG42 didn't exactly need to retreat at that point. It had actually been saved at that stage by the Grens, but it would have still been flanked by the combat engineer, so it's understandable that a retreat happened there, but probably could have held out. No big deal, though, at this stage. Not a very, very big flank. Molotov getting tossed into the center of nothing there by the conscript squad as Sergio Niko trying to anticipate the movements of Field Marshal, realizing that he is not in sync with his periods. He is going to be forced to retreat since he missed the Molotov so severely. Other conscript squad on the right-hand side, down to 3 men, moving around. So we have 4 conscripts in total for Sergio Niko. Field Marshal getting himself 3 Grens in total, and with the MG, so matching them pretty much number to number there in combat troops. Conscript sitting around in the center for Niko. We do see him selecting his Doctrine right off the bat, and that is, of course, the Guard Motor Coordination Tactics. The good old Guard Motor. Pretty much a staple back in the day. Not seen a lot nowadays, but we also don't see Soviets around a lot nowadays. I mean, I'm pretty sure the last few games that I've casted have been just U.S. forces and Brits, so yeah. Soviets don't seem to be getting a lot of love, at least not on the replays that get uploaded. I'm sure people still play it, obviously, but you know. Grens retreating, going back to base. Not exactly sure why. There's not a med bunker there for them to do. I'm going to assume that maybe this one was retreated because it was injured, and this one was accidentally box selected, maybe? I don't know. Seemed like a weird moment there to retreat. Conscripts up in the north. Gonna be moving around. Taking some caps. I'd forgotten about all of these changes here in this map. It's pretty nice. Open up the field quite a bit. And over on the right-hand side, we're going to see the conscripts run into some Pyos. The Pyos are 4-man strong and pretty healthy. They could actually take on the conscripts here. However, they do have to run through a pretty open space, so that could end up not going very well for them. Tier 2 now down for Field Marshal. Wow. Did I bring water? It's not right here. Hold on. Aha! Water. The 222 is now on the field, catching that conscript squad out of the open, down to 2 men, forcing it to retreat. Did set up a sandbag there, but, well, unfortunately it wasn't really enough. And the combat units with their flamethrowers pushing forward, getting fire going there on the Grand Squad. Doing quite a bit of damage. Grand Squad in the process of being burned to death. However, the 222 moves up on top of them. Flamethrower, not that strong against vehicles, if at all. And, well, yeah, the combat engineer squad quickly forced to retreat. Another conscript squad moving across in the center, getting a Molotov tossed on that MG42. MG42 getting burned to a crisp, down to 2 men, forced to retreat. Might lose another man on the retreat, but it should make it out of there. And the 222 still untouched, just laying into that conscript squad on the floor, as the other conscript squad manages to push forward and go for their fuel. So decent defender for Field Marshal, but Sergio Niko seemingly, you know, doing a good job here at pushing, getting those Molotovs on top of the MG, not allowing it to establish a dominant position. Panzer Grenadiers on the field. Funny, on the field for Marshal. On the field for Field Marshal. And we see guards coming into play. Well, that's also the mortar, but guards coming into play for Niko, which of course is a good option because, well, there's this guy over here. Going to be difficult for them to take it out unless, you know, Field Marshal kind of suicides it. Grenade does fly there at the guards. Guards managing to dodge that quite effectively. PTRS rifle shooting, getting some good shots there on the 222. Squad is going to get laid into here by a lot, and the damage will stack. However, the PTRS rifles, they're pretty powerful. Field Marshal should know that. And he almost gets his 222 killed as the guards manages to take out its weapon and almost kill them off. Field Marshal selecting his own doctrine, and that is the Spearhead doctrine, with which he calls in the Mortar Half-Track, another popular doctrine back in the day. Of course, that was back in the day. Right now, it's not a lot of use. You see more stuggies and such, but it's still good. Mortar Half-Track, Tiger at the end. You know, can't really go bad. You have your smokes. You know, pretty good. And yeah, I mean, not much else stuff to say. We do have the 120mm mortar on the field. Again, this used to be the shit. Now you don't see it that often, but still pretty good. It's a mortar and high explosive, so tends to do a decent amount of damage. It's not gonna wipe things like it used to. And the MG takes a couple shots from it, forced to retreat. And again, Field Marshal is gonna be pushed back onto his side of the field. Victory points 416 to 469. About a 50-point difference there, so pretty close game. Not too big a difference just yet. Grand Squad on the left-hand side getting assaulted by conscripts, very close range. Gonna be killed off if it doesn't retreat. So it does, and it doesn't get killed off. Second Grand Squad behind it, trying to hold the line. We hear mortar shots landing all over the place, but seemingly not impacting on anything. Panzer Grenadier Squad is forced to retreat, losing only one member, so maybe a little bit of a preemptive retreat, but you see the high explosive effect there of the rounds, making it so that things can't really just sit there. So, wow. Not sure what's wrong with me right now. I can't speak for some reason. So right now we see Field Marshal getting kicked off completely out of the field. Sergio and Niko doing a very good job at pushing and not making it easy here for Field Marshal. MG42 moving out. Conscripts up here in the north by that sandbag could be utilized to move around and cap a little bit more instead of being left there idle. Mortar half-track moving up, trying to provide some support. Conscripts managing to just get themselves right behind that MG. Oh, nasty shot there. I think that may have been friendly. No. Okay. So no. That was the sorry, that was the wow, I lost the name. The 120. Yeah. Wow. Completely distracted right now. Anyway, center map 222, laying into some conscripts. Pioneer squad pushing forward, trying to retake that fuel point. Gonna get torn apart here if it doesn't get a little bit of extra support. We do have Grens moving 3 at a time. Bit of a blob here for Field Marshal. And it looks like they're gonna be going on the flank. Panzer Grenadiers also moving 2 together, so that's gonna be a very, very strong flank here, capable of killing off a squad. We do have that guard squad cut off from its retreat path. Gonna be having to run through a Panzer Grenadier squad, or double squads really, and Grens altogether. Mortar is able to retreat, and the guard squad is now flanked. Going to be having to retreat through a lot of infantry. Running the gauntlet will be taking a lot of damage, but it should be able to make it out of there because it was retreated with 6 man. So yeah, takes 2 losses there, maybe taking the 3rd at the very end. Nope, manages to make it out, no big deal. So nice attempt there by Field Marshal. Did manage to break the siege there and clear off the area, but no squad kills. And back at base we do have, of course, the medics, so the troops will be moving back out with no real problem. Back at base, still no med bunker for Field Marshal. And there we go. Just as we say that, he starts getting the bunker down. The half-track moves up a little bit. Unfortunately, though, the 222 did go down to the guard squad. I guess I'll write that down, see if I can catch it. I want to, but I'll do it. No. Anyways, yeah, I mean, it died to the guard squad, as we saw. And, yeah, I mean, guards are pretty good against those light vehicles, especially the armored car. Just paper thin there against those PTRS rifles. Folks, wow. Look at my. Can you hear the hoarseness on my voice? I don't know why I'm such a horse. Conscript squad up in the far north, taking this point, which is pretty weird. It's like this one over here, but this one at least, you know, connects with something. But I guess it's the same, but it feels like very isolated and unimportant to be there. Like it should maybe be like right here in the center connecting these points, but I don't know. Anyways, Grand Squad's getting flanked here. We do have another conscript squad down to 1 man forced to retreat. The other squad taking some heavy cover there by the sandbags. Conscripts pushing forward. They're going to Ura right on top of them. Get a Molotov going on the cover. And since we have a bit of an engagement in the center with the mortars, the MG, and the Panzer Grenadiers, the Grens take a little bit of damage there to the Molotov. Conscripts, though, do move themselves right on top of the flames, which end up causing them quite a bit. Ooh, he can pick up a kill. There we go. Nice little focus fire there by Field Marshal. Picks up a kill and loses 1 more member of the Grand Squad as it sits in the fire, relishing in its victory. The other 2nd Grand Squad managed to get a good rifle grenade on the flank and scored a nice little pickup there for Field Marshal. We do have a 2nd Guard Squad, though, on the field for Sergio and Niko, so essentially replacing his losses like that. Not exactly a replacement, but, you know, he still has a decent-sized force, so not too big a deal. We see a 2nd MG42 getting produced for Field Marshal. Not a bad idea because his MGs are unable to stop the approaching infantry, which, again, is one of those things that are getting addressed in the with the balanced preview mod. So, for example, the plan is to make it so that grenade types abilities, like grenades or Molotovs or things like that, if you get suppressed, the range is thrown in half. So you can't just simply like run at an MG, get suppressed, crawl your way up to it, and throw a Molotov, and it has to retreat so your infantry can stay on the field. You know, pretty good. It's very decent. Anyways, back at the base, Sergio Niko getting tier 3 and getting himself a to wait, no, T7. Well, where is it gonna pass for? No, that is not the right faction. Anyways, yeah, T70 on the field. Not a bad decision, although we do have Panzer Strikes on these Panzer Grenadiers, but as long as he can stay clear of that squad, pretty much safe. Grens, of course, can always Faust, but yeah, I mean, that's always a threat. Also, another thing that's supposed to be changing, even though, you know, not a lot of these changes might make it, but one of the proposed ones for Mandel is to remove the Shrek upgrade on the Volksgrens for the OKW and give them Faust instead. So, a lot of changes coming up that could be good. Anyways, Guard Squad in the center gets beaten apart there by that Grand Squad. Takes, well, quite a beating and is forced to retreat. But in the process, it loses one of its PTRS rifles, which this Grand Squad picks up happily. And it manages to inflict a little bit of damage there to that T-70 and also inflict a critical on the engine with its Faust. However, it manages to just simply pop its own crew repairs, removing the critical as it heals itself up past the required threshold and allows it to move out of the way. The Panzer Grenadiers are coming up against it with their Shreks. The double Shreks can do a lot of damage to it, but now with the fully operational engines, the T-70 should be able to make it out of there unless Sergio Niko does not get it out of the way. But yeah, you can see right there the double Shreks hit. If it had still been snared, that would have been a dead T-70. So a good attempt there by Field Marshal, and yeah, very nice, very nice. So T-70 moving back. We got everything back at base right now for Sergio Niko. We have some troops moving around, combat engineers, some conscripts, far right hand side. More guards. Victory points 298 to 469. So Field Marshal still bleeding quite a bit. He is now almost down 200 points. And that is a significant difference here. Which means Sergio Niko has now a little bit of slack there when he can afford to give up a little bit of territory. Maybe trade unfavorably in some engagement or not. And still be able to win the game. Whereas Field Marshal... it's kind of running out of time, slowly but steadily. It is only, you know, a 1 point tick, so right now it's not that big a deal. It's going to take for quite a while before it even gets to the 200 point difference, but, you know. Guard Squad getting a grenade going on that Grand Squad. Forced to retreat, though, as it is on the wrong side of the battlefield. Has to run through a lot of troops, even an MG, another Panzer Grenadier squad. But it's a hardy squad. It's a full 5-man squad still, so it's not going to be taken out. PTRS rifles shooting, getting some hits there on those Grens. Gren squad retreating as it's down to 3 men. However, the bigger threat there is that there were a lot of troops clumped up together there, and there's still a mortar on the field. Grens in the center moving around. We have those veteran C3 guys with the PTRS rifle being total badasses. And a conscript squad behind the lines, getting a Molotov going on that MG42. Taking quite a beating, but again, managing to make it out of there without much of an issue, and no problem. So another MG42 in the center, though, is the one that manages to suppress it. However, it got up behind the other one and got that Molotov. Spam is true. Not sure what he's referring to. And back at base, we see Sergio Niko teching up to tier 4. Now there is that T-70 still there. Still hasn't gotten repaired, even though the combat engineers are right there. They could have been told, queued up to select that. Just shift right click and immediately go to repair. But for now, we'll just sit there and admire their accomplishments as they build that building by basically just picking up imaginary and magical logs and putting them in front of them. They actually build an entire structure, so that's actually a pretty amazing accomplishment if you think about it. Grand Squad in the center going for the victory point. Mortar, oof, laying into them, shot after shot. Not having too much luck. The mortar half-track trying as best as can. Now what it could be doing, though, is always using the incendiary barrage. Yes, it costs munitions, but you can always, you know, if you know where the enemy one is, just incendiary it and try and get it off the field that way, so your troops can push and cap and stuff. Because with the Soviets, the thing is that their weapon teams have a lot of members, so it is very unlikely, even if you try a counter barrage, like just select the barrage directly on top of where you know that other weapon is, it is unlikely that you're going to be able to kill it. Maybe you'll be able to flush it out and get it, you know, to retreat and get out of there. But, you know, maybe not even going to move out of the way, so. With an incendiary one, you can actually wipe it if it doesn't move, so you kind of have to force it to move, and most of the times it ends up retreating, so. Just another thing to keep in mind there. So we now have a T-34, T-34-85 on the field for Sergio Niko. That is, of course, from his Doctrine. And he is going to be building himself two at a time. Two at a time, two at a time. And, Field Marshal doesn't really have much to stop them. He has gotten himself just now a Stug, which is great. And he does have the Shreks on the Panzer Grenadier squad. And I suppose a PTRS rifle. So he has some things to deal with one, but against two, seems like a difficult engagement. We'll see how it works out. At this point, though, the Stug is pretty good, so you know that'll provide him a lot of range. Oof, nasty shots there into the center. That Grand Squad quickly forced to retreat. Stug moving up, gonna get a shot going on that T-70. T-70 taking a hit, forced to move back. Can he actually get a second shot? Yes, he can. And down goes the T-70 very quickly there to that Stug, because Stugs are awesome anti-tanks. An assault gun, essentially. Yes, that's actually its name. The MG catching that conscript squad, forcing it on the floor. Gets a Molotov going on that Panzer Grenadier squad. Could have actually just moved out of the way, probably not retreated, but the MG though does take a beating and is forced off. T-34-85s, two at a time in the center. More Panzer Grenadiers getting built for Field Marshal. Stug, again, just sitting there in the center. Can actually get a shot off going on those T-34s. Actually, he takes a shot but misses. Grand Squad in the center, forced to retreat, down 2 men. Explosions all over the place. And the mortar half-track has actually taken a couple hits there. It's a little bit damaged. And it almost gets crushed there by its own tank. Thankfully, though, the engine recognizes that they are allied vehicles, so they're not going to crush each other. Grand Squad on the left-hand side. We have a Guard Squad on the far right-hand side. This squad has a DP light machine gun, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there it is. Oh, yeah, it has 2 of them. So this would be the squad that lost its PTRS. Yeah, so this is the Guard Squad that lost one of the PTRS rifles. We see the other one over here with both PTRS and both DP light machine guns. So. And on the left-hand side, we see a Grand Squad retreating as the 2 T-34-85s run into it. Shreks flying from the Panzer Grenadiers, doing quite a bit of damage here to these T-34-85s. Shots flying from the Stug, doing quite a bit of damage. The T-34-85 overextending, takes a shot, and down goes the T-34-85 for Sergio Niko. The Stug again, shooting with impunity here, nothing flanking him, nothing getting on top of it. We do have a Guard Squad nearby, but it was blocked by the hedge and was not moving forward. MG-42 trying to turn itself, move away. We get a little bit of a stutter there, and a grenade flies at it. Does a little bit of splash damage, but they moved out of the way long before it hit. And the Stug feeling rather good about himself. Over on the right-hand side, Pios and Panzer Grenadiers getting right on top of those guards. The guards managing to absorb quite a bit of damage. A nice bundle grenade. Oh, quite a bit of damage. Down to 3 men, though, but they'll make it out of there. Veteran C3 in total. Not going to die. But it was close. It was rather close. So Sergio Niko has lost quite a bit. He is, it's not looking too, not looking too good. But he is still good with victory points, though. 152 versus 448. Currently had a triple cap going against Field Marshal, but has now been disabled and will be turned around. At the very least, it stopped at 150. And like I said, that is the difference here. Sergio Niko did take some losses right now, but he's still in the lead as long as he keeps his cool, keeps his tank alive, doesn't lose more infantry, and just builds up his forces once again. He can easily make a comeback and get himself in the game and win it just simply by controlling the territory. Doesn't have to eliminate his opponent at all. And we see Sergio Niko going ahead and just building himself yet another T-34-85. Combat engineers are back at base. They need to go repair that tank, get it back in working order. And the Stug still needs a little bit more help. mean, Field Marshal wouldn't be a bad idea for him to get a pack gun. Pack guns are always really strong. They are literally anti-tank guns. But I mean, he can't afford one right now. Has a lot of infantry. And I guess maybe he's trying to save space for this. I mean, that would be 89. Yeah, I mean, he would barely be able to get a Tiger on the field, so maybe that's what he's waiting for. So instead, I mean, it's a lot of fuel still, so might not be the best ideas. And then there's a box dead here, as we see a missing AVP. Let there be panic. Consult the warning flank transfer. Okay, well, I'm not sure what the hell that is about. Guard squad on the right-hand side. Going to be going for the cap of the point once again because Field Marshal is unable to keep these points uncapped. I mean, an MG or a guard, something around these points would help quite a bit. He is sending a Panzer Grenadier squad to hole up inside this house, so that's actually pretty good. We see a second squad, pilot squad, moving up to try and provide some support. Grenade flying into the house. The Panzer Grenadier squad won't be getting out of there as we probably have engagements in other places. Takes a loss, but with only 3 windows in that direction, the Panzer Grenadiers are still able to apply full damage going out and manages to keep that victory point alive. On the left-hand side, looks like a Gren squad might have that. He's down to 2, so one died at one point. The squad over here in the center is retreating. Let's take a look at Gren's before. And in the center, we hear the MG42s opening up on a guard squad. Guard squad is fighting the Gren squad pretty close range. Shots flying at the missing a BP box. We see a combat engineer squad with a flamethrower moving up, running itself straight into a Stuggy. I mean, the Stuggy can get upgraded with a mounted MG. It's not that expensive, but right now Field Marshal is apparently starved for munitions, so not going to be able to even acquire that. But you know, it's understandable not to get it because obviously you have this vehicle more for anti-vehicle rather than infantry, but we'll see. T-34-85 is coming up on a flank on the left-hand side, going to be getting themselves right on top of that Stug. Stug in a very bad shape. We do have a Panzer IV on the field. Panzer IV can actually provide some help. You see the Stug moving up, moving back, trying to stay alive, but it's just going to die. There's nothing a Stug can do once it gets flanked. However, we do see a Faust going off on that T-3045. T-3045 now in a bad spot. Shots continue to fly from the Panther IV. The Panther IV taking some hits here. We do have the Panzer Grenadiers with their Shreks moving up. The T-3045 with the damaged engine is probably going to be focus fired here. Yep, trying to take out one of the vehicles. Looks like it's going to be able to make it out of there a little bit. Gren squad could actually take another Faust going here. Nope. Yes. Nope. So the Panzer IV trying to move out of the way. The Panzer Grenadiers trying to provide some help. We do see a marked vehicle finally going down there on that Panzer IV. Not sure why it didn't happen before. Ooh, that is quite unfortunate there for Sergio Niko. Field Marshal using his Panzer Grenadier squad to pop inside that T-3485 and try and get it out of there. The other T-3045 is still on the field. Panzer IV is still marked, and we see the Panzer Grenadiers moving up on top of them. These guys don't actually have Shreks, so they can't do much, but we do have this Shrek squad coming up right on top of it. That's flying from the Panzer IV, and down goes the T-3045, and that is a huge, huge loss for Sergio Niko. Even losing a conscript squad in the process at some point. I guess I'll note it just to see what happened. There you go. But, yeah. Losing his tanks and even having one of them stolen. I mean, that's pretty much a game ender right there. He did manage to score the kill in the Stug, but it didn't matter at the end because now he actually gifted him a T-3045. We see a massive force here of infantry pushing forward for Sergio Niko, seemingly going for one last hurrah. They do have PTRS rifles, so they can actually do damage to the tanks. So if they can actually catch and get up to the T-3485, they could potentially kill it with the PTRS rifles. It's low enough in health that it might happen. However, they do have to run through 2 MG42s to get there, and that's quite a tall order. Panzer IV also getting some shots in on the infantry as they move. Combat engineers with their flamethrowers moving up on the flank. We do see Sergio and Niko going for the rarely seen nowadays Su-85. Su-85 used to be all about the Su-85 back in the day when it was only the Soviets. Su-85 and guards and pretty much, well, Su-85 and sniper, right? And pretty much won every game. MG42 standing stalwart there against the flame of the combat engineers. Combat engineers getting pinned, getting shot in all directions. Down to a sliver of health. Looks like it's going to be able to make it out of there. Although a Panzer Grenadier squad is moving into the way. Should be able to execute it. Detonates the flamethrower. Runs into the flames as a victory dance. As it does execute the combat engineer squad on the retreat. The guard squad still in front of it. Still trying to do as best they can. They have a decent DPS with their DP light machine guns. But I mean, the grenade is actually the big deal there. There you go. Down to one man on that guard squad, unable to withstand against everything here. Manages to make it out of there, and the Panzer Grenadier squad is forced to retreat, as it, of course, took quite a beating. Victory points down to 121 for Field Marshal, 432 for Sergio and Niko. Thing is, though, that this stage, I'm not sure if there's much he can do. He doesn't have a lot on the field. He has to spend a lot of resources to come back. And he doesn't have anything floating anymore. Getting himself a third guard squad, just to try and replace his infantry. Su-85 moving forward with everything else. We do still have that mortar. Got cleared out on the field, but it's there. I guess I can take a look at that just to see how it died, but I'm pretty sure it was the Panzer Grenadier squad. Shouldn't matter too much. It's quite a bit of looking up, unfortunately. Might not do it, actually. So sorry if I'm talking about it, actually. I don't have a lot of time today, or tonight. Anyways, Field Marshal pulling back. Reconnaissance overflight right there in the center, trying to make sure they can keep an eye on everything. The Su-85 took quite a beating, forced to retreat back at base. T-34-85 still has a damaged engine, a heavily damaged engine, but now finally fully repaired, back in full working order, and ready to kill his former comrades. That's gonna be tough right now for Sergio and Niko. Panzer IV is still on the field but damaged, needs some repairs as well, but there's now a mainland tank rather there, ready and waiting. And we still have that half-track on the field. Mortar half-track, 13 kills so far, has managed to still be a big deal in the engagement. And we see the guard squad in the center retreating because, well, they're just guards. They're not actually that great. They're usually, when you end up in a late game like this, it's just replacing your infantry that you keep losing with guards. I don't see it working a lot. They're too expensive, kind of, and not that flexible. But yeah. So not a lot going on. We still see these guards continue to push into the center, as it looks like Sergio and Niko is desperately trying to continue to make a push for the victory points. MG42 is sitting right there, actually has range on that guard squad, however it does not have line of sight on them. Shots will fly from the MG, get it suppressed. Panzer Grenadiers can now get right on top of them and kill the infantry point blank range, which forces them to retreat. They did manage to disconnect the point, but again, that merely just stops the bleed as the points are there. Panzer Grenadiers hiding behind the wall. Nice little cheeky maneuver here for Field Marshal, as he expects Sergio and Niko to send something directly onto this location to try and take the point. And by doing that, he can easily, you know, catch a squad kill. Marked vehicle getting popped there on that Panzer IV. The Su-85 pushing forward, trying to get the kill on it. Might be able to do so, although it seems to pop its blitz. Manages to move out of the way. The Su-85 missing shot after shot, which is unfortunate. And with that, it should... Ooh, it's actually going to overextend itself and get itself killed now. You see a ram going off on that T-34-85. Gets a crit on that engine, doing a lot of damage. And also down goes the T-34... I mean, the Su-85. T-34-85 is left a little bit disabled there. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. But that is enough. And, of course, it was enough. It was enough a while ago. and the game comes to a close. So, not the highest level of play, gotta say, but pretty good in that turnaround there with that that SU-85 basically right there, dying and being left to field Marshal is essentially what gave him the win. So anyways, guys, I do hope you at least enjoyed the game. If you have any positive or negative remarks, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. If you have any replays you want to send me, go ahead and send them to the email that I will put in the description. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.